Welcome back to businesshealthchecker.com. I've been reading a considerable amount recently, both in newspapers and watching TV, and given the situation in Greece, there's obviously a lot of discussion about cash and how countries are operating. And I found this interesting because we're coming up to an election and there's a lot of discussion about how businesses, in particular in the UK, are going to prosper under whichever government comes into power. For me, this political situation has nothing to do on its own with running cash in a business. And if I give you some examples, hopefully you would take some comfort from the fact that lessons we learned, which you can find on businesshealthchecker.com, are actually helpful to you, and let's hope that you can gain some benefit from that. There's a thing called the Peter Principle. Let me explain. Many years ago I was working in a business. I was asked to go and run a business actually which wasn't, let's say, in the best shape. So I started in the first week going around discussing problem areas with managers, and I happened to go into the purchasing department where a gentleman by the name of Peter was operating on a daily basis, spending the company money. I asked him how he came to the conclusions about how much money he should spend. And at that time, whether it be based on computers or index cards, he had a system which operated in a way which caused him to replenish stocks and to spend the company money, as I say. So I asked him how much every day he was spending other than major raw materials and major machine breakdowns or capex equipment. He didn't know the answer, so I asked him to come and join me with the accountant. And what the accountant worked out approximately was that he was spending something like £10,500 a day. Multiply that by 248 days that we were operating that year, that's a considerable amount of money. So what I said to him, because I knew patently the business was not in good shape, that I wanted him to spend on average £3,750 per day. In doing that, I realised that I was taking risks, knowing very little about the business at that time. But I exhorted them to explain to me that in the event that they exceeded that budget which I had set, that they would escalate the problem, whatever it was, to myself. I received 2 visits that particular year, and in the end, other than major machine breakdowns, which obviously peaked at specific times in the year, Peter managed to hold the budget down to something like £2,000 per day. I developed this idea from that point that the pocket money principle, or cash management, however you want to pronounce it, is something worth doing. And in every business I have worked in since that day, and that was in 1990, I have applied the same principles and found very similar results. What it makes people do in your organisation, and even if you're a small business, it would exhort you to reconsider the way in which you're spending cash every day. Why are you replenishing things? What level of authorization are you giving people to spend money? How do you know what it is that you really need? Do you actually test yourself? This has been a great fillip for me in my career, in the sense that it allowed me to apply some very basic management principles and very basic cash management disciplines, and it works for me and it will work for you. There are many more similar examples that we can cite you, but if you want to come and comment on this type of advice, please do, and join us on businesshealthchecker.com.